how to deal with car wreck anxiety. So I never thought I would talk about this, but I've had a few wrecks that really have caused me some anxiety. And so, full disclaimer, I am not a therapist, a counselor. I'm not pretending to be. I'm just sharing my own experience and what has helped me. And so, I believe that journaling is important. And I believe that being honest about how you feel is important. So, the journal for me is I'm just writing down how I feel. And I don't think it matters if it's a major car accident or a minor. It just the something about losing control of your vehicle, or somebody else losing control of their vehicle, or somebody hitting you, or you hitting somebody else, affects us all differently. So what I found is that even though I had to drive every day because I had to go back and forth to work, it still affected me. I was still very jumpy. I was still nervous. I was scared every day about having an accident. And I had someone I knew years ago who had been in an accident, and it was a bad accident, my understanding, and it had been 10 years, and she hadn't drove since. She was riding the bus everywhere. She had teenage daughters who would not be able to learn how to drive from their mother because she was petrified. And so I don't know, everybody's different, right? And so I didn't have that luxury. I couldn't riding the bus was not an option for me. I was paying for a car note. I had to drive back and forth. And so everybody's different, but it was rough. It was really rough. You find yourself, jerking in the car or being way more cautious. What I know for a fact is if you're going to get over car wreck anxiety, you got to make some changes for yourself. And you got to realize that you are human just like everybody else is. And it is normal to have car wreck anxiety after a car wreck. It's just car wreck is, it's one thing if you can prepare, right? But it's another thing if you don't know it's going to happen. It just happens. And when I was younger, I used to hear people say, when you're driving a car, you're driving for yourself and somebody else too. And that is so true. And so what I found is that you have to put your cell phone down. You just cannot you cannot lose focus on what you're doing, and that's driving. So you need to put your cell phone down and just let it go to voicemail. Just wait until you get somewhere where you can stop and you can read your text messages, you can return calls, but put your cell phone down. Don't watch videos. Don't do all these things that could be very distracting to you. Pay attention to the road because you got to drive for somebody else too. And that might mean you might have to get over, or you might have to swerve, or you might have to do something else based on what somebody else is doing. So just be mindful of the fact that you can't have your attention diverted. And so this might mean you don't you don't text while you're driving. You're completely focused on the road. You're paying attention. You're looking in your rearview mirror. You're watching, you're seeing what is happening around you. It might mean not eating while you're driving because that is another diversion. Same thing with cigarette smoking or vaping. All these things take our attention off of the road. They take our attention off of what we should be focused on. And that is what's in front of us, what's around us. And so just be mindful that texting and driving, being on your cell phone is going to distract you. You're going to lose focus on what you should be focused on. That's on the road. And that's keeping yourself safe, possibly keeping somebody else around you safe, possibly keeping people in the car with you safe. So eliminate the cell phones completely. The next thing you want to make sure is that you are, if you're wearing your seatbelt, that's what you believe in, wearing your seatbelt. This will help you if you're in a car accident. Keep, wearing your seatbelt. Of course, it's the law, right? You want to be thinking about what you're thinking about, because sometimes we can be angry or have had a bad day, and it will affect us and how we drive. And if somebody cuts you off, you just got to be mindful of just letting it go. It's not that serious. It's over. They're never going to hear what you're saying because they're gone. And it's not worth doing anything crazy, throwing signs up, holding your gun up while you're driving. It doesn't make any sense. It's over and done with. You probably going to never see that person again. Just focus on the road. Just focus on just letting it go. So just think about what frame of mind you're in, because if you're angry already, something has happened, it's going to affect you and how you drive. You might be, more aggressive than what you would normally be. So just think about, what can you do? Think about, taking some calming breaths before you drive so that you can be safe. You can, help keep other people safe, And so car wrecks are damaging. They hurt us. We replay what happened. We replay what we could have done. We replay were we at fault. We replay, was it something that we could have done differently? And so just be mindful that sometimes it's just something that happens. Sometimes it's somebody took their eyes off the road for a split second, and that split second caused an accident. It's all kind of stuff. Sometimes we're in people's blind spots. Sometimes we're in people's blind spots. It's just all these different things that can happen. And so don't take it personally. It's something that happened. You just, keep moving forward. Just take one day at a time. And so I believe in praying for traveling grace before I get in the car. It's super important to me that I'm praying for traveling grace, that God will bless me to get from where I'm going to where I'm coming back home. And so prayer is important. So if you don't pray, if you're a Christian, think about praying, before you get in the car or when you get in the car for traveling grace to wherever you're going and coming back. Take deep breaths if you need to take deep breaths. Believe and see the positive happen, and that's getting you to where you're going and coming back home. And so sometimes we in our heads, we're ruminating, we're playing over and over again that we're going to have a wreck, something bad is going to happen, and then something bad happens because we've spoken into existence. We've thought it into existence. And so just be mindful of what you're thinking about, because just because you've had a wreck before doesn't mean that you're going to have another wreck or that's going to be anytime soon, and that all you can do is have a good outlook, just expecting things to be fine, expecting to go to work and come back home safely. And then we just do our part. That's all we can do is just do our part. So if you're having car wreck anxiety, I hope that you'll consider taking some deep breaths when you get in the car, praying when you get in the car, putting your cell phone away or not eating while you're driving, because these things kind of distract us, or smoking or anything like that, that you're just focused on, the road. You're focused on what's going on around you and what's in front of you. And so, and just know that wrecks happen. It's just something that happens. I can't explain it. I can't say that there's a lesson to be learned. Sometimes there is, right? We can learn that we need to put the cell phone down. We need to focus on what we're doing. Sometimes it's not our fault at all. We couldn't have prevented it because it was somebody else. But just be open-minded that, just take one day at a time. That's what happened for me. It was really hard for me, catastrophic. And it was just one day. I just had to take one day at a time. I had to drive. I had a long distance to drive, a long distance for me. And only thing I could do was just keep driving. I just one day at a time. That's all I could do is just take one day at a time. And so if you are someone who's having anxiety from driving, from having a car wreck, just take one day at a time, just one step at a time. And then every day, it'll get better. It'll get better. And you just have to, if it's your desire to continue to drive, just keep driving, and the anxiety will lessen. If you need to go to therapy because it was just, really bad for you, go to therapy. You need to talk to your pastor, go talk to your pastor. But just know it gets better. It does get better. Just every single day, you got to replace the negative thoughts with something positive. So if you're constantly replaying the accident, you got to stop beating yourself up, and you just got to replace it with something positive. And I mean, immediately as you start to think about, as a thought comes into your head about the accident, you got to replace those negative thoughts with something positive. You got to replace that replaying of the accident in your head with something positive. So don't think that it's not necessary. It is necessary to replace those thoughts. You don't want to still be thinking about it 5 years from now, because you don't want it to control your life. So have something positive that you're working towards, or that you want, or a memory that you can replace those negative thoughts of the accident. And so car wreck anxiety is real. It happens every single day. People are afraid to get on the road. They're afraid of what's going to happen. But there are some things that you can do to help yourself. And just know that with time, as long as you're not replaying the accident over and over in your head, and if you're doing that, replace with something positive, with time, it will get better. With time, it will get better. But you still got to be focused on the road. You still got to be focused on, looking at the people around you, the people behind you, what's happening on the road. You still got to be paying attention. And so I hope this helps you to overcome your car wreck anxiety.